Page 308, Chapter 19. A Child's Mode of Thinking. It came to pass that some disciples and disciplesses stepped up to Emmanuel and asked, quote, "Who is the greatest in the spirit or consciousness?" Emmanuel called the child to him and placed the youth in their midst. And he said, quote, "Truly I say to you, unless you turn yourself around and become like the children, you will not be great in the spirit or consciousness. Those who research and search, and those who gather cognitions and thirst for the knowledge like this child, will be great in the spirit or consciousness. Those who research and search for the truth and find it, like such a child, will always be the greatest within themselves. But for anyone who does not heed this truth, and embraces confused teachings and neither searches nor finds, it would be better if a millstone would be hung around his or her neck, and he or she would have to search for it in the sea of the truth, there where it is the deepest and where the core of all truth is hidden. For truly I say to you, many only grasp or only learn if they have to bear a heavy load. With many heavy loads, an evil calamity must first come upon them for them to become willing to search for, to grasp, or to learn, and to recognize the real truth in order then to follow it. Truly there is no sense in the life and no fulfillment of its meaning without searching, seeking, finding, and following. It would be better that those who, out of their own will, lack understanding, exclude themselves from the company of the true seekers and the human beings striving for the true life, so that they do not hinder those willing to search for the truth. The irrational ones will surely be willing to heed the laws of the creation in their further life of being excluded, so they will then be remorseful and will comprehend or learn and turn to the truth. Woe to the world for troubles, because trouble must come through troublemakers. But woe to those human beings who cause troubles because they suffer harm for it. If your hand or your foot troubles you or becomes lost, do not be concerned about it, for it is better for you not to be concerned about a limb or to lose a limb, but become great in the spirit or consciousness, than to have 2 hands and 2 feet, but remain small or even waste away in the spirit or consciousness. If an eye troubles you or becomes blind, do not be concerned about it, for it is better for you to see the laws of the creation in the power of your spirit or consciousness, than to have 2 eyes and yet be blind in the spirit or consciousness. See to it that you do not belong to those who are sound in body, but who walk along sick and lacking in the spirit or consciousness. Search for the meaning and the truth of my teaching. Since I am a human being, like you, I, too, have had to search and recognize and grasp or learn, so that I may be knowing. Since I am a human being like you, and have gathered my knowledge, you are also capable of grasping or learning, searching, recognizing, and knowing, so that you can thereby grasp and follow the laws of the creation. Confusion of the next one. Verse 17. If your next one is confused and embraces a falsified teaching, go and reveal his or her error only in private, but only do so if a need requires it. Therefore, only go and teach if he or she wishes, but never do it without his or her will, and do not push him or her into your instruction, or he or she is not to be proselytized. If he or she listens to you, you have won your next one, or he or she listens to your instruction and follows it. But if he or she does not listen, and continues to be enslaved by his or her undiscernment, or unintellect, and his or her unknowledge, leave that person be, for he or she is not worthy of your teaching. if you have allowed your utmost to be given. It is better to let an irrational one walk on the way of misery than to bring his or her own spirit or consciousness into confusion, such that he or she becomes even more lacking in understanding and sick in his or her thoughts. Truly I say to you, the firmament would sooner collapse than that one without insight, or an irrational one, would be able to be taught insight or rationality. Therefore, you should beware of such a person.